What we're gonna do today, folks, today is going to be delicious. Some places pound their brisket, helps tenderize the point meat a little bit. I'm doing it just so it sits a little flatter.
Pitmaster secrets or Pitmaster bull. Alrighty, all welcome to 2024. My name is Tommy, and of course, this is the Gallery Backyard Barbecue. And today's show is definitely going to be a good one, as it is all about the brisket, but not just any brisket. I have spent the last couple nights going over some YouTube channels. I am talking about the top YouTube channels, Texas Pitmaster YouTube channels, and have put together a list of all the top methods that were used in 2023. I am going to use all those methods here in one video on one brisket cook. I am talking about a 48-hour brine. How about a little boat action on the brisket? And of course, a 15-hour hot hold in the oven. These are all the popular methods of 23, and we will attempt to answer the question, are these the best methods for you? Will these methods produce the best brisket? We'll stick around to find out. So you've got your brisket all picked out. I've got a little 10-pounder that has been sitting in my fridge probably for about 8 months. I am gonna break it out here on this video. The first thing to do is to get that brisket out and get yourself some paper towels, because you're gonna wanna dry it off. As you are drying it off, give it a look over, man. Look for any dark spots, some dark meat. You're gonna wanna get rid of that. And always keep in mind that you are gonna look to shape the brisket to get it as aerodynamic as possible. If you follow these simple guidelines that I am about to lay out for you, you will find out that cleaning a brisket is not as daunting as a task as you may think. For the first thing that I am going to do is to start shaping the brisket by going to the outer edge. There is always some brown meat on that outer edge. I am going to take that off. Any hard fat, anything that doesn't look good, you're going to want to get off. Just start low. Always keep in mind you want 1/4 inch of that fat cap to remain on top. And just continue to shape, always keeping that in mind. Once you flip that brisket over, you are gonna see a lot of silver skin. So basically here, you wanna take your time, just get that silver skin, kinda just shave it down. You will take a little bit of meat with it, no big deal. All the scraps that I get from cleaning a brisket go in the freezer for a later day cook, maybe some brisket burgers or brisket chili. Anything hard, you're gonna wanna get rid of that. Just do a little bit at a time. Remember, if you're not sure, just leave it, as fat is flavor. And I'd rather leave a little bit of extra fat on than take a little bit of too much fat off. So look, that looks pretty good to me. You've got your brisket all cleaned out. Now let's get on over to the next step and get that rub on. So there is no debate on this next step, and of course I am talking about 16 mesh black pepper and kosher salt. You can go a little bit of granulated garlic, a little bit of Lowry salt, as you'll see, but keep those fancy rubs in the cabinet. You don't need them. So basically, when you apply your rub, you want to make sure you get the full surface of the brisket. The more the merrier. Trust me, there is a lot of meat here. She can definitely take it. And don't forget those edges. Those edges are just as important as the top and the bottom. And continue to work that brisket, get that rub on. So once you are happy with the amount of rub that you got on the brisket, grab that Lowry seasoned salt. Now personally, I have never used this on a brisket, although in my research it has become quite popular. So basically all I am going to do is just put a little bit of a top coat, make it snow, a little bit of flurry on the brisket. There you go. Make sure you do the top, make sure you do the bottom, and get all the sides. Grab a tray, grab a rack. You're going to want to get that brisket in the fridge unwrapped for 48 hours. Approximately 2 hours before you are going to start this cook, you're going to want to get that brisket out of the fridge, get it on the stove to bring it up to room temperature. I've also got a pot of water simmering, and we'll be running this cook here today on my Halo pellet grill. This is battery operated. There will be no electricity used on this cook, and I've got that Halo loaded down with Manchester pellets. That has become a killer combination for me. Get that pit fired up, set that dial dial to under 200 because we are going to want to introduce as much smoke to this brisket in the first 3 hours that we can. Once you have reached the proper temperature, I will get that water, fill those 2 tins up with water. That'll keep everything moist, keep everything rolling. Get that brisket in, and I've also got it flanked down with 2 chef's temps gauges, one in the brisket and one in the pit, because we want precise temperature control. Shut that hood, and I will see you in 3 hours. Let that brisket run for 3 hours, no peaks. You are going to start to develop a nice bark. Get yourself a spritz. You are going to go with 50% water or apple cider vinegar or straight water. It doesn't matter. Spritz it down at hour 3, 4, 5, 6. You are going to spritz it on the hour right up to the stall. If you've noticed any hot spots developing in the pit, you can quarter turn the brisket. Otherwise, just spritz. Close the hood, spritz, close the hood, and turn that temp gauge to 250 Fahrenheit, and we will see you at the stall. So one of the questions I get asked all the time is, how do you know when you're in the stall? Up on the screen is a little bit of a graph on this cook that is going to explain just that. And you'll notice at 3 a.m. we are 43 Fahrenheit, 6 120 Fahrenheit, 7 141 Fahrenheit. Now 8 a.m., 9 a.m., 10 a.m. you will notice that she will start to slow down. We go from 153, 156 to 164, all in a 3 hour span. That is the stall. So look, at this point, what you want to do when you're in the stall is you want to make sure that bark has developed good. If you pull it too soon into the stall, you will not get the proper bark. So you can go in the stall for an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours. Again, once you are comfortable with that bark, get it off, and let's move on to the next step. And that next step is going to be the stall. And as you can see, we are 167 on the brisket, and it is looking good. We've got a nice bark developed, an awesome color. I am definitely digging that. We will get ourselves 2 heavy-duty sheets of aluminum foil. We will get that brisket, get it down into the shack, because we are going to boat it up. Now, the one mistake that I see people making when they boat it, they wrap the foil this way. You want to wrap the foil under, wrap it under, get that brisket all snugly in that boat. At this point, you can remove those tins. We don't need them anymore. You can also bump that pit up to 275 Fahrenheit. Get that boated brisket back in the pit. You're gonna wanna probe it. When you took it out, it was 167, so when you put that probe back in, you wanna make sure that you are hitting the right spot, which is gonna be around 167. Once all that checks out, close the hood and just let it run. Your job is basically done, and you will take that right up to 200 or just about toothpick tender. 9.5 hours later, as you can see, we are just under 200, but more importantly than that, we are probing like butter. So basically what we are going to do here, we will remove the brisket from the pit. You can leave that probe in before we get that in the house. If you've got any liquid on the bottom of the boat, you want to pour that out. Too much liquid in there will cause you to braise the brisket. You don't want to do that. We will take it in the house, we will put it next to the stove, and I will allow that brisket to sit there and let that temperature come down. You don't want to put it in the stove at 200. You want to let it come down to about 160, 150, which should take about an hour and a half or so. At that point, you will fire up your stove. I will hot hold this at 170 for approximately 15 hours. So after that 15 hours, let's get it out of the stove. Let's get it on over to the shack on the board, and let's just take a moment to admire the color, admire the bark. We've worked hard to get it. Let's enjoy it. Alrighty guys, look, and here we go. And remember, I'll have everything broken down into the timeline. We will have all temps and times. I took I took very detailed notes on this cook, so you will definitely get all that. And I gotta tell you, this is probably, and I don't do a lot of briskets, but this was one that I wanted to cut open right as it came off the pit, you know, with that 2-3 hour rest or so, because it really looked so good. It still looks good. A little bit of crispiness here on top, but we do have a nice jiggle wiggle. We are just gonna go right down the center and get right into it. Oh, she's leaking. Oh yeah. Guys, this looks absolutely amazing. Oh, I don't want to press all the juices out. The smoke ring will definitely lighten up or darken up as we go. Oh yeah. You know, what could one say about this other than we just 100% nailed it, man. There is no doubt about it, man. I mean, this is killer. You know it's going to be pull apart. I mean, that is just about perfect. Quick taste test. I'm going to say it, probably one of the best briskets I've ever smoked. I mean, we are juicy. And I am 1000% thrilled with this. The salt pepper in the beginning with that Lowry's is perfect. The 48 hours hold, that is perfect. And of course the 15 hours in the oven or so. Again, full everything. All the notes are going to be in the timeline. I mean, it just melts in your mouth, man. This is pretty cool, man. This is pretty crazy. Any references that I used to complete this video, other channels and so forth, will be down also in the description. You can go to those channels and see where I got all my, basically where I did all the, all the research to put the bionic brisket together. And I love the hot hold because there's nothing worse than trying to get that brisket done for that 5 o'clock when people come over. I mean, you get up nice and early and it is still not finished. This way you cook it the day before, you hot hold it in the oven and take it out right before people come over. The internal temp on this brisket at slice open was about 140, 145 or so forth. So that is pretty perfect there. And that is going to be it for this one. I got to thank all my YouTube joins and Patreon members. I appreciate you all. Again, my name is Tommy, and until next time, we will see you soon.